it's been forever.
Yeah, it honestly does feel like that. I feel like it's been quite some time.
It has been... Yeah, friggin' murdering dogs back there again. Jeez.
I was walking in Zelda earlier. We're walking by. I just heard a guy yelling. He's all like, "Shh, shh, quiet, shh, shh, quiet." I was like, "That's hilarious." Hi, and welcome to Swircast. This is episode 6, right?
I believe so.
And we are your gracious hosts. We got me, the illustrious Giorgio Mera, and Marco, the magical and not as sweaty.
I'm not as sweaty today. It's starting to cool off.
The co-host.
But
both co-hosts.
I am here, and I am a little bit sweaty.
Yeah. Not bad. Hey, you know, things keep improving here at Swir Media. It's a beautiful day. The sun is shining.
Figured out what some of the things on the camera do. Spice up the,
Spice up the shot.
Yeah. Dude, it's like not any different, like the final product.
I know, it is more Swir, definitively, but nonetheless. We got your basic housekeeping. It's just a reminder that we are streaming live on twitch.tv/SwirMedia every Tuesday and Thursday. Every Tuesday and Thursday from 11 to 3 p.m. Pacific time. And we did change it a little bit. We were normally streaming about 3 hours. We're increasing that to 4. And we're adding a third stream on Mondays. And that's going to be an evening stream. So, you can cap off your Monday blues with a little something nice, 8 p.m. to 12 a.m. Pacific time?
Yes.
Perfect. Join us.
Woo.
Come have a good time,
Almost dropped the phone there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Should be pretty cool. We're going to be playing some games with the Sibs.
Yes, Monday will be
a sibling stream,
a
essentially.
whole new cast, if you will.
Yeah,
a whole new, it's going to be 50% increase. Well, 100% increase, actually. It's
100%.
100%. You're doubling.
We are now the 50%.
Exactly.
Of the full 100. And
it's just part of the vision,
Yeah, doing that. I think one other one I think is a good little update is we're taking Val a little bit more serious. If you've been watching our streams,
yes,
starting to take
Absolutely.
Valorant a little bit more seriously. Gonna make sure we'll play like a match a day. Start working out of the bronze. Because, dude, working out of bronze is fucking rough, dude, because of teammate. And you don't have a full team.
What we're learning right now with Valorant is how to play with a variety of different teammates and against a variety of different teams. And me thinks we're going to be in bronze for a little bit, but it's going to be a climb because really what we're learning is how to be a better contributor to the team per the team's needs. And it's been fun. It's been pretty wild. We've actually had some cool matches.
Yeah, we had one where it was like a lot of kids with no coordination, and so
a lot of screaming until we muted.
And so we ended up muting, but we did prevail. We did turn it around.
Hey, and God bless. The kids had heart.
They did.
They had energy. We like that.
Once we realized where they are consistently pushing, it was pretty easy to just bait them a little bit, let them get killed, and then you kind of peek out and,
Which, granted, is not the absolute best strategy, but it is a start. It's good, better, best.
It's what we did, and it won the match. Okay,
yeah.
It turned it around, and I was pretty proud of that.
Me too. That's one of the matches I'm most proud of.
Yeah.
Because of the mind games and the head game. It was very on point where no, we're going to
And I feel like
there
is this aspect where every match we've won thus far was man, we won, cool, it worked.
Yeah.
But this one I'm like, dude, I know why it worked. We in the moment to moment, we were playing off of just our team, and it goes back to what that one dude we were watching said, where he's like, if someone makes a stupid move, you can make it less stupid.
Yes.
If you play around them properly. And so it's there's a level of baiting, but it's also if someone's peeking an angle really hard, just peek with them a little bit. Nope, don't full peek, but peek a little bit because they're going to distract and you can maybe cover them a bit and help them get a pick also. And it's just stuff like that. But Yeah, that's the biggest thing I could say about that match. It's like I see like what we are actually doing like more clearly. But
Yeah. Also, the battle pass is way cooler this season,
yeah, it's
gentlemen
got
and
like
ladies.
Aztec like little skins and such.
It's like Emperor's New Groove.
It's like wow. It's great. Yeah.
I like it. I like it. Want to get onto the news? It's your daily news or your weekly news.
Daily news.
Well, it's not daily. It's weekly. But today,
It's daily on Sundays.
you got your daily, weekly news on Sundays.
Your Sunday daily.
News. Do you want to start this one?
Yeah, sure. So PlayStation, it's got a game. One of their new games was from Studio Bend or whatever.
Correct.
They did that game Days Gone, and I want to say the whole thing with that was their first like real game or something like that, because they did like, or no, that was their first like main console game, because they were the ones that did that. I think Drake's Fortune or not Drake's Fortune, that like the PS Vita
one, yeah.
Yeah, I forget
They
what
also
it was
did.
called.
I want to say Bend did. I might be wrong on this, but I want to say they did the God of War games on the PSP.
Yeah,
Did they? I'm gonna check on that. You keep talking.
You check on that. I'm not too sure. But they did Days Gone. That was their first like big game, and I remember it having like some problems, but I remember overall it being like really well received, and I remember people enjoying it and all that stuff. Well, they're moving forward with this movie adaptation. Okay, they're going to be working on that, and that's it's just kind of a big deal, because it's like it's another game that Sony's starting to move forward with, like movies and stuff like that. Not to mention they also have like the Last of Us show with HBO, and it's just interesting to see. I want to say they're doing a Ghost of Tsushima movie as well.
Yes,
Okay, and so
I
they're
heard
working
about
with that, and they're getting like they're getting a lot of that kind of stuff together to start like leaning into the other industries. And I think part of that too, why they're doing that, is because like a lot of what Sony is like laying on right now is literally just PlayStation. And so they're like, man, like we got to get back into the movie scene more. Like let's do Sony games. Like that's our stuff. You know what I mean? I think they're trying to do that and spread and like recapture some of that, because like again, Sony's kind of just they've been held up by like only PlayStation for quite some time.
Yeah.
Like that's their like only profitable like field in their entire company. So I think part of it's that, but ultimately I think it's good. I think it's cool. I think it's exciting to see these new like adaptations and stuff. Like they already did the Uncharted movie as well,
Which was fun.
It was fun.
If you've played the games, I have issues with it on that front, but it's also Uncharted. So the movie was basically just like set piece after set piece.
Yeah, like the liberties they took, like it's like again, it's like it's Uncharted. It makes
Coolest
sense.
part of the movie, spoilers, at the beginning when they show the Sony Movie Studios logo.
And you see all the characters
that was
and
so
stuff.
Cool. I'm like, dude, Sony.
Because it's
PlayStation
just
movie?
crazy.
That's
man.
so cool.
It's just crazy. I want them to make a Death Stranding movie.
Just to kind of put the cap on this one right here, they did not make that. They made the Golden Abyss, but they're known for Siphon Filter, Resistance, Retribution, which was really good. I played that one too.
Resistance?
Retribution, the first one. And then they made Ball Z 3D, so let's not forget about that. On to the next news. Overwatch 2 is getting cross progression, and account merging is coming for the original game. So Overwatch 2 is going to include cross progression across all the formats. So the whole idea is that 2 is basically replacing the first game, the multiplayer at least, and then the single player is going to be that whole new added experience.
Free to play, isn't it?
Yes, it is. But it's cool though, because they're actually honoring all the progression you did before, that makes me happy as someone who's spent a lot of hours on Overwatch.
Yeah.
To know that all of that's going to carry over, I'm going to be able to use that. So they said starting today, you'll be able to merge console and PC accounts from the original game, carrying over all of your collected progression with you to the new versions.
So is Overwatch 2 like doing like a beta until launch kind of deal? Like it's because I don't know what's going on with that. Because I'm like, so is Overwatch 2 like kind of out already?
It's not out yet. What they're doing is like the preparatory merging of the accounts, so that way when it does launch, you don't have to do all of that then. So that it's kind of like, to me, it just seems like you know how like when you go and merge accounts like for like Twitch with like WB or something like that, It's that, but they open up that functionality now, and then Overwatch 2 I think launches in October, correct? That I don't know about. Let me look that up real quick. But anyway, if you have Overwatch and you're planning on playing 2, recommend opening up the game, merge your accounts.
Yeah.
You know, if you have cross progression, all that going on, get it set up so that way when it opens up, you know, you're not caught with your pants down. You know.
Oh my gosh.
Let's see here. Release date for Overwatch 2, October 4th. Pretty soon.
Damn, dude. There's so much stuff coming out right now.
Let me get this next one. You get the one after that because you actually did more reading on that.
Right.
One. I want to treat that one a little more.
Yeah.
Per our conversation. So, GameSpot reports that Elden Ring developer From Software's next game is almost finished. Wow. Recruiting for several new projects. Wow. In an interview with 4Gamer, From Software's Hidetaka Miyazaki also mentioned that an unannounced project is in the final stages of development and that he intends to continue focusing on directing games. One such future project by the Elden Ring director was described as a more abstract fantasy that uses ideas that don't quite fit into the usual Souls-like adventure template. So that's exciting. You know, From Software, you know, they're most famously known as of the last 10-15 years for the Souls games, you know, Dark Souls, you know, Bloodborne, Sekiro, and then now Elden Ring. But they did games before that, you know.
They did like Tenchu,
Armored Core, Ace Combat, you know. So they have other IPs that they develop, and you know, I think word around the street also is that Ace Combat it's pretty well known, I believe, actually, that's in development and towards the end of it too, I believe. Or am I speaking out of my...
Is it that, or was that Armored Core?
Armored Core, sorry. That's my mistake. Armored Core is the one that's more developed. But this other one, this sounds like it's another, like a Souls game, kind of.
Yeah. I'm curious to see what they do with that. For me, I'm like, I hope they don't just keep, like, doing new... Because I don't know, maybe we'll see. I gotta see what it is. For me, I'm just like... Let's see other stuff, you know? I want to see them do, like, another, like, Sekiro. I want to see them, like, do, like, another Bloodborne. You know, but
I do too, and I think we're gonna get that
because they did
at some point. But I don't know if this is
they
it.
did. No, Sekiro was right before Elden Ring, huh? That was their last one.
Yes,
because it was Bloodborne, then Dark Souls 3, Sekiro. Okay,
yes.
They've got a really interesting like mix of all of that stuff.
Yeah,
yeah. But yeah, that whole Armored Core like sound pretty tight because there's like leaked images and there's apparently like some leaked gameplay and stuff too, and it was like it's like a third-person shooter, and you're like obviously in a mech, but the map is like all scaled, all like huge and stuff like that. So you're literally like walking between like buildings and stuff like
that's
that.
so cool.
But yeah, it sounds like really tight. I was reading something. I don't know much about Armored Core and like how much of this is like part. Like I don't know if that's maybe part of like their lore or whatever. But I was reading something that the story is supposed to like. It's supposed to be focused on like this thing called melange. And they're like it's like a I know that's what I was thinking like Dune. But like yeah, I'm like I don't know if they're trying to like allude to like that or like just as like a fan kind of thing or like I don't know much about Armored Core to be honest, like the lore and all of that.
Yeah.
I just know it's like a mech shooter kind of deal, like it's a mech game, you know, like but like I don't know too much about it.
Yeah,
so I don't know if
Melange
Melange is like part of it or whatever, or like
but if
what?
it's not,
because they said it was like I was reading, it was like they're like it's like a new substance that's like you know heightens this and that and progresses humanity like by light years and like speeds it up and stuff like that, like the advancement.
Sounds exciting.
And so I'm like that sounds like spice.
It does sound like spice,
Dune,
dude.
but. I don't know. I'm like, I don't know. Maybe they're just inspired by it, but it just sounded cool. So next, okay, this is a little bit more serious here. Okay, so Dragon Ball Z. Okay, there's they got Broly. I don't know if you guys know about him. Okay, he's kind of a badass. No, but that aside, his voice actor is in like 2018 had a lot of accusations for like sexual harassment and you know, sexual assault and all of that kind of stuff, and right now, because he got sued for a lot of this stuff, and then he basically responded saying like a lot of it's unsubstantiated, this and that. Started trying to give evidence for that, and then he started to countersue them for defamation. And throughout all of that, like, the judges and the courts ruled basically like he didn't have enough substantiated evidence, like of wrongful doing, and this and that and whatever. And so they ended up just he lost the lawsuit essentially, and so he had a lot of money that he had to pay. I forget the exact number, but essentially right now there's been a lot of other stuff coming out with like just even the fan base, and there's a lot of other people that are starting to come out and like sue him, and so now he's dealing with a big situation here, and it's kind of like a big deal because this actor, I actually should have said his name earlier, is Vic Mignogna, and basically who
does he voice again?
So he's the voice actor for Broly. Like I said, but he's also the voice actor more commonly, I think, known is Edward Elric from Full Metal Alchemist. So that guy, he's pretty big deal in the whole anime scene and all of that for like the voice acting.
He's also Junpei for Persona 3.
Yeah, he's in a lot of games and stuff like that. He was also Captain Kirk in like I forget which Star Trek, but it was one of the Star Trek series. He was like.
So he's been around.
He's been around for like a while.
Yeah.
And like he's been in like a lot of these industries, and in particular anime and all of that for voice acting. And yeah, this has been going on. Obviously it's really horrible and all that, but the thing for me is I actually didn't even know this was going on, to be honest. I didn't hear about this, or if I heard about it, like I didn't like take note of it or anything, like when this law, because this came out in like 2018, like 2018, 2019 was like when all this stuff started, and I didn't really know much. I didn't know about it until like right now as we were like setting up our topics. Like I saw this pop up and I'm like, oh, like who's this guy? And then like I see like Broly and I'm like, well, what else is he? And I just kind of clicked on it because I was curious, and then seeing Edward Elric, I'm like, oh, okay, like now I know who this is. Like now I get reference and stuff. But I started digging deeper, and it's just like it's really bad, like the whole situation. And I think for the sake of just like respect for this whole thing, I don't really want to get into like too much of the details, especially because like they're already out there. Like honestly, like this whole article that we got was from Kotaku. Okay, so if you go through there, check their articles for like the DBZ, there's a lot of like hyperlinks to like more information and stuff. It's already out there. That's why I just don't want to go over it again.
Yeah, if you want
to do
out there, if you want to learn more about it, you can do your research. No, this is going on, but I think the biggest thing to say about this is kind of to your whole point that it didn't register. These kind of things have always gone on. They always will go on, and it's good that now it's finally being brought to light. It's unfortunate that we're hearing that it's going on in so many different companies. This is sexual harassment doesn't care about what industry it's in. It doesn't care where it's at. That'll happen. So if you're seeing it, say something. If you're experiencing it, I know it's hard, but speak up, and everyone respect each other and respect yourselves too. We should not be doing that, but anyway, good thing that he's facing justice,
It's disturbing too though, because it's like he apparently has like this whole like his whole fan base is like they're very fanatic, and so they're very much so like, oh no, like this and that, like he's a sweet guy and he would never do that, and these people like they're like victim shaming kind of deal, like doing all that stuff, and it's just really toxic, yeah, and it's just a very odd situation, but
it's horrible.
Yeah.
On to slightly better news. PlayStation was hit by a $5.9 billion lawsuit for ripping people off on digital games, Kotaku reports. A consumer rights advocacy group is suing Sony for charging a 30% commission fee on all digital purchases made through the UK PlayStation Store. This is functionally a class action lawsuit that seeks to distribute billions of dollars to players who have used the PlayStation UK store since August 2016. Too bad I'm not in the UK, eh? That's some big euro, dude. According to Sky News, a lawsuit was filed with the Competition Appeal Tribunal on August 19th. Quote, Sony dominates the digital distribution of PlayStation games and in-game contents, said one of the lawyers leading the lawsuit. It has developed an anti-competitive strategy which has resulted in excessive prices to customers that are out of all proportion to the costs of Sony providing its services, end quote. Kotaku reached out to Sony for a comment, but did not attain one by the time of publication.
You know, I was reading.
Interesting lawsuit, eh?
You know, I was reading. Apparently, this whole 30% kind of thing. It's like the exact reason why Fortnite got kicked off of like the App Store. Apparently, like because the App Store does that for microtransactions, and they wanted to like, they were creating their whole system inside of the Fortnite app that like circumvented where it's like you're buying through like a Shopify through the app, and like it's not technically going through the App Store.
Yeah.
And they created this whole thing, and that's why the App Store was like, they're like, no, screw you guys.
They're like, no.
Like, we wanted 30%.
Yeah. You know, it's an interesting lawsuit in that, you know, you've got people clamoring that, you know, you're ripping us off. It's not fair how much you're charging for digital games. It's not proportional to the cost it costs to make them, yada, yada, yada. Well, the fact of the matter is, ladies and gentlemen, games are at their cheapest still. Okay, everyone needs to, I think, show a little more respect for the creativity and the work that it takes to make these, and recognize how privileged we are that we have such easy access to so many games. Okay, per all of our other podcasts where we're talking about PlayStation, you know, Plus and Games Pass, just buy a subscription. Look at all the games that you're able to get. I mean, this is gaming at its most accessible. You know, I don't think this is going to win, but we'll see how this goes. I mean, this is an insane amount that they're suing for. And, you know, the fact that it's a consumer rights advocacy group, listen, I'm only going to say a couple things here with this one, okay? I don't know a lot about consumer advocacy groups, but all I know is this. I worked at a little place called Apple for a while, and when I worked there, and people came with, like, consumer rights, you know, this, that, and the other thing, dude, that whole bid is more of a squeaky wheel gets the oil thing than anything. So they'll probably get something, but this is not going to be like a 5.9 billion, dude. Like, that's ridiculous. Like, this is, the 30% is pretty common across the board, too. That's not just a Fortnite and all that thing. That was, like, Epic Games trying to put all of the money in their coffers, which is understandable considering how ridiculous Fortnite is. But, like, most other game, like, stores that are digital have, like, from what I was reading, the same 30% commission. So, I'm kind of curious. That's all I'm saying.
It's interesting too, because it's in like the UK.
Yeah.
So it's like a completely different, because the whole Epic Games like lawsuit and stuff was in the US. But like this is gonna be with like the whole UK like court system. So it's gonna be interesting to see how this plays out. But
all right, and then let's see here. We got about 5 minutes until our next break. So you want to take this next announcement, and then we'll cut to a break real quick.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
So. Game Awards. I don't know if you've heard of them. Kind of
what?
The Game Awards.
Oh, the Game Awards.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of.
Yeah. It's like you were a little bit clumped.
A little bit.
Yeah.
The Game Awards. I don't know if you heard of them. They're kind of a big deal. Okay.
Yeah.
Dude, it's
son of a fly, dude.
so like, kind of a big deal. Okay. They had a reported higher viewership than the Super Bowl of the concurrent years.
Wow.
For multiple years in a row. I believe it was like 2 years. It was like 2 years that happened.
That's multiple.
That's multiple as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
It's more than one. But the 2022 date, okay, we've been kind of sitting in limbo a little bit. Okay. It's like pretty fresh. It's been like pretty fresh. Dude, so it's like fucking December.
They're like, why are they building this up so much? Like, because we're trying to buy a little time.
A little bit of time, but it's free entertainment. It's great. It's a win-win, okay?
It's a bit.
So
get with the bit.
Needless to say, it's happening in December 8th. They announced the date. It's going to be super exciting. Okay, Papa Jeff, I'm sure he's got something nice cooked up for us.
Do you think there'll be world premieres?
I think there will, but so I'm stoked. I'm excited. Gamescom just happened. Was hosted by the whole Game Awards team and all of that. Yes.
And you will have an exclusive,
an exclusive podcast
devoted to all the games, comms, all of the announcements.
Yeah, we decided to hold it for next week because it's like I think there's like still like a day or two, right? Or it ended today.
Today was the cosplay contest, and then it's done.
Well, we're doing it next week because we want to sit on it. We want to really digest. Jesus, dude.
We really want to just digest.
You just want to digest. It's good to digest. So yeah, it's really exciting.
So to be clear, Game Awards 2022, December 8th. Mark your calendars,
dude,
guys.
December 9th rolls around. We're like, we're back in the limbo.
Now we don't know what's up.
I'm waiting for the next one.
And now it's time for your scheduled intermission. Enjoy this nice tune. And we're back. Kenna. You know about Kenna?
Bridge of Spurts.
Bridge of Spurts. Kenna Bridge of Spirits. Great game. Play it when you get a chance. But they've got an anniversary update out next month alongside Steam debut. Game Informer reports that the update will hit PlayStation 5, 4, and PC versions of the game on Tuesday, September 27th, and it will be free to all players. And speaking of PC, the game will debut on Steam. It was also only an Epic Games Store before, so it's going to be on Steam also now. Both of those, the PC versions and the PlayStation versions, will get the anniversary update next month, and it'll include New Game Plus, new Charm Stones, Spirit Guide trials, Kenna outfits, accessibility features, and more. So in their New Game Plus, apparently they're going to allow people to restart the journey as per the usual, with all their previously unlocked abilities. I bet that probably make the hard mode a little easier, a little more manageable. But rot, etc., all of that, it's all going to be carried over. And then they're going to be more challenging combat encounters. The Charm Stones, they're going to be individually equipable. They're going to have some new ones of those. And they got a new game mode called Spirit Guide Trials, so they're going to be like obstacle courses, wave defenses, your boss reflex, that kind of stuff. Yeah, boilerplate. So I really liked Kenna. And we were talking about this before the podcast, but one of the issues that we had with it was, and the more I look back at it, I'm like, dude, I don't know if it's so much an issue as it was just an issue of that specific difficulty, but we really liked the game, playing it on normal, and then we swapped to hard because we're like, we want the challenge. And at the time of release, the hard mode felt unbalanced. It felt like there was just weird difficulty spikes. There was certain things that just it didn't make sense the way that some of the bosses in particular, like the difficulty would spike. That, and it had some bugs. I had to replay that second section pretty much from the beginning.
I just remember getting ahead of you, and there's that one boss like in a little treehouse like thing on the side, or the little cliffside house, or whatever the hell it was.
Yep.
And I remember I killed that little boss, and then I'm like, all right, cool, and I just like walk through the next door.
Yep.
And then I was looking over because I had stopped playing for the day. I was looking over, and you were like just getting to that part, and I'm like, dude, this boss is really cool. Or I forget what the hell I said, but I'm like, yeah, it's tight, whatever. Interstitial little comment, but I remember just watching you, and then you beat it, and then that little door that I just walked through didn't open. And you're like, wait, and I'm like, I think you needed to grab this thing first. Did you drop something? And you're like, no, you didn't drop anything. Because didn't you die the second?
I died at the moment he died.
Yeah,
we both died at the same time.
That's what it was.
And then it auto saved.
Yeah.
And the only other save I had was from literally 2.5, 3 hours before.
It was from literally when he got to that area.
Because there's the game can be split up into basically thirds from what I recall, right?
Yeah,
and I was on that second third. And I was towards the end of that second third when that whole thing happened. So I had to replay the whole thing. But I did, so I think that speaks to the quality of the game. I'm curious to see, when it says more challenging combat encounters, I'm curious to see how the game feels with all these updates. So I might actually revisit it.
Yeah,
The game's short and it's worth the play.
It is really worth it.
Incredibly
especially-
charming.
I want to say that's that dev studio's like very first game too. It's
Astounding.
really
word, like,
impressive.
truly.
It's really, really impressive. I remember it reminding me of like Star Fox Adventures.
Mm-hmm.
It felt like a very different in a
was like
lot of
that
ways, but like it did have
Big time.
it did have that kind of like vibe. And also, it's just not, it's starting to happen again. We've been talking about this a lot, but it's just nice to see a game that feels like a video game.
Yes.
It's not like a video game that's like trying to be a freaking like movie, and you're like, go make a movie. They're like, but we wanted to make it really cinematic, and I'm like, go make a movie. Like, I don't know, but yeah, games are starting to feel like games, and with Gamescom, there's been a lot of really
There's been a lot of that.
Yeah, I'm honestly really stoked to talk about all that stuff because
too.
there's been a lot of really cool stuff.
Let's give us some time to organize our thoughts. We'll have it for next episode.
Yeah, honestly, it's mainly that. There's just so much to talk about. We want to like format it properly so we can like give the proper time to everything.
If there's no order, you're not going to get as excited.
Nah.
It's not going to be as digestible.
Nah.
That's what we're here for. We're here to make it digestible for you. Oh, hey, Frankie.
Hey, Frankie.
Hey, Frankie. What's up, buddy?
This little bastard's been here like all the time.
Yeah, he's a little son of a beetle.
It's probably a different beetle, but in my head, I'm like,
It's the same one all the time.
It's
dude.
Frankie. It's the same
It's
guy.
Frankie.
All right, man. That one had a lot of bullet points. I realized.
Man, and that one had a lot of meat on the
Got
bone.
a lot of meat. Speaking of meat, there's I don't know how I'm gonna connect these.
I
Dude,
was
these are like,
so
dude,
curious.
these are like.
I'm like,
I was
wow.
I was like, okay. Speaking of meat, I'm like, okay. There's boars in Fortnite. You can kill them. They drop meat. I'm like, oh, how can I reverse engineer
no,
this
this is
one?
how you do it. Like, speaking of meat, it seems that Fortnite is going to be meeting Destiny in a crossover.
Oh, so, damn, dude, you've got that one. You know, you've got that. You got a gift. So Fortnite and Destiny, I have a crossover. Now,
Wow.
at the time of putting this together, it was a leak. But as of today, and this will be the little teaser, okay? Because this wasn't at the Gamescom. This is a little bit of Gamescom before Gamescom, all right? But Destiny, they're having a Fortnite crossover, and honestly, I don't really know much more than that. But there's some cool stuff coming to like Destiny that, like there's that I can't remember what season it was from Fortnite, but there's that like Rift skin where it was like that ninja. It looked like a Naruto.
And that's coming to Destiny.
Yeah, they're bringing that. It's like
little
it's like all
Naruto.
pink though. It's like pink. He has a little like kabuki mask or something like that.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, but needless to say, that skin they're like making armor for in Destiny. I don't know what class that armor is for, but it looks really tight. I'm assuming
that's
it's
nice.
Warlock.
That's nice.
I'm assuming,
That's
but
good because I'm
it
going to
looks
go Warlock.
it looks really tight. Yeah, I want to do Warlock too.
But he's just super Warlock, dude.
Yeah, because we're also planning to start Destiny.
Ah, spoilers. You gotta
Is
get.
it spoilers?
We don't know what we're planning. Okay, just keep it tuned.
Like, listen,
There
forget
you go.
it.
I fixed it.
Oh my God. But needless to say, yeah, they're doing that. There's Fortnite themed skins
Listen,
coming
if
to
you-
Destiny.
it's
I
just-
wonder
it's
if
in a
there's
crossover before with Fortnite. You know
I
what
wonder
to
if there's
expect.
Destiny coming to Fortnite. I assume there would. Is this a two-way road or is
It's
this
a crossover. I would think
Well,
they cross over to each
So
other.
then it has to because I don't remember them showing anything, and I think it's because they were showing the Destiny side of stuff.
Whenever you cross something, I think both sides get it. It's kind of like cross-play.
It's got to be, right?
Yeah, it's crossover.
Yeah, because I think about it, I'm like, even Fortnite, when they crossed over with, like, Marvel, they did a couple comics where, like, the Fortnite banana or whatever was, like, in a Marvel comic. You heard it here, folks. Fortnite is now canon to Marvel.
It's a thing of beauty, honestly. Just
That's
get with it.
Dude, Fortnite is the weirdest game when you're playing it. You're like, dude, I
Oh,
got
man.
killed by Anderson .Paak, and then the Mandalorian freaking walked in.
It's like Fortnite.
It sounds like you're writing, like, a fanfic when you, like, describe some of these stories, dude.
Fortnite feels like a virus, dude. That's just spreading across the freaking.
It kinda does,
Like
dude.
it's infecting everywhere, and I'm not using that terminology lightly. I do mean it's infecting everywhere. I love Fortnite. Don't get me wrong. Like I
think-
have many skins.
I feel
But-
that game's fun because there's like, I don't have to hear them, But I know it's a freaking little kid on the other end that I'm like,
That you're
I'm like
just
freaking getting
completely
them so
wrecking.
mad, dude.
You
It's
probably
kinda
feel
mean.
cathartic because you feel like you're doing what was done to you when you were a little kid and you got ticked off.
I mean, maybe, dude. Shit, there's probably some deep psychology. In this
I can
shit,
speak
dude.
for myself, dude. Like, I remember I would rage at, like, you know, the typical ones, you know, on the Xbox Lives.
Yeah.
And then later on, when you, like, I don't know, gain a little bit of, like, maturity and you start, like, kind of holding your ish down a bit, where you're able to go, like, all right, let me, like, not get just completely raged out and let me, like, think about how to kill that guy.
Yeah, let me not take this personally.
You kill a guy and you're like, yeah, that's...
But yeah, I feel with Fortnite the way I felt with Ultimate, where I'm like, I have like Smash Ultimate. I'm like, I have problems with this game, but keep going because like this is still so unprecedented to even have. I'm like, dude, like with Fortnite, I'm like crossover more, dude.
This is
Do
what I'll
more
say about
crossovers because I'm like, dude, like you'll never get a game like that ever again.
They did the one thing that they needed to do to keep me in for the rest of my life. Like, always playing a little bit, always drinking a little from the pond. Is they added a no build mode.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
Dude,
whoa. Dude, was that like an albatross or something? That was wild.
That was whack, dude. Wow. Dude, that was trippy.
In new news, what is
freaking
also trippy is that whole Star Wars, video game remake. You know, that old chestnut from Episode 1. You know, Knights of the Old Republic remake. Well, the project, BNN Bloomberg reports, was formerly in development in Austin, Texas-based Asper Media. It's now being led by one of Saber Interactive's Eastern European studios, according to a person familiar with the change who asked not to be identified because the details are private. Both developers are owned by the Swedish company Embracer Group AB, which obliquely referenced the pivot in a public statement last week. Wow, that's kind of abstract. A representative from Embracer didn't immediately have a comment. Ladies and gentlemen, what you see here is the classic. We put a lot of money into the basket. We don't want to lose the basket and the money. You know, it's sunk cost fallacy. They're moving this along. We wish the best. We like seeing anything creative being made. I'm gonna skip this next one because I mean, we could talk about it.
It sounded interesting. I was gonna have you take over.
I can take over it. I did research.
Hold on, because with the KOTOR, they were saying
see this guy. He loves KOTOR.
They were saying something too, where they're like, I forget which part of this whole process and like which entity like said this, but they were basically saying, I think it was the devs that worked on it like before they swapped. They were basically saying that, like, where the game was at, they're like, it easily had a solid, like, 2-3 more years that they needed to go. They're like, we worked on it for 2 years, they're like, and we got it to where it is. So, like, it easily would take another 3 more years, like 2-3 years.
Wow.
They're like, before it comes out, they're like,
so they did
like,
mostly pre-po.
Yeah, they're like, so we hope they finish it. Like,
I do too.
We hope they don't, like, for me, I'm like, man.
I just don't want our audience to get too hyped about
I hope it gets finished.
These are long processes.
I hope it gets finished, and I hope they're able to keep the game focused with whatever the hell they were trying to, like, you know, remaster and update. Because I feel like that's where it could potentially get a little weird, is where they, like, remaster it, but there's things that, like, you know, Asper was, like, planning to, like, do, and they had in their whole design documents. And then now this new dev studio has it, and they're like, okay, well, these are our new methodologies for this remake, so we got to like redo all this stuff.
Yeah.
And that was the other thing too I was reading about. It's just like, it's such a simple thing, but it's like, it's also, they're dealing with like foreign code. Like, they don't know how this code is laid out, so they have to like figure it out before they can like continue working on it anyway.
That's above my pay grade.
It's kind of sad, man. Apparently the game's been like on halt for the last like months.
Yeah.
So like we just halted it because we need to figure this out. But all right, here go
listen.
this one.
Let me go for it. Okay, listen. I'm just gonna off the cuff.
The headline sounds badass. I'm like, what does this mean?
Listen, I'm not gonna spend too much time on this because this game comes out soon. But
when does it come out?
God of War, Ragnarok. I think it's November.
Shoot.
And Game Rant reports that apparently it's gonna go full Game of Thrones.
rants.
Game rant. So listen, that's why I'm not going to spend too much time on this because it's all speculations, But
Like with the gods?
what they were getting at is that they're thinking that they're going to go full conjecture. They're going to full conjecture. They're going to go full Game of Thrones with all of the like different factions and different like groups and like regions fighting against each other. But it's going to be like pantheons.
I could see that.
They set it up in the first game, or the fourth game rather.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, so we'll leave it at that. If you haven't played God of War 2018,
Dude,
it
that
came
would
out
be fucking nuts.
came out on PS4 and PS5 and PC. Go play it.
It goes back to what we've been talking about too, where it's like a lot of devs are like moving their games like clearly out of the way of Ragnarok, and I'm like, dude, what do you guys know? What are you hearing that you're like, dude, we have to move our game? It is not going to sell with this game coming out.
So what I will say is,
like,
if there's any news that we talked about to get like more immediately hyped about, it's this. Like God of War is happening. Like Ragnarok is coming, and everyone is moving out of its way. So this thing is big.
Yeah.
So.
Damn, dude.
You hear this rooster? This is new. The neighbors get an actual honest-to-God rooster.
It sounds like freaking Kakariko.
It's Kakariko Village. Open here.
And then we get
now now we're Devil May Cry.
Now we're Devil May Cry A.
Speaking of A, would you like to give us the update for Games Pass?
Okay. This is the update. August 30th. It's going to be a huge day for Games Pass.
Wow. Lay it on me.
Okay, this is from Game Rant. It's from Game Rant again. Okay.
Yeah.
Death Stranding. This is basically just releases. Some of these are already out.
Yes.
So, Death Stranding for PC is coming on August 23rd.
So you can get that now, technically.
Yeah, there's Midnight Fight Express. That's on cloud, console, and PC. That's also August 23rd. There's X-Punks. It's on PC.
That sounds
It's going to be the 25th. There's Opus Echo of Starsong for consoles and PC on August 25th. Commandos 3 HD Remaster for for cloud, console, and PC August 30th. And then, dude, these last 2-3, I'm like, wait, is this like a typo? So there's Immortality for cloud, PC, and Xbox Series X. Is that really the specificity? Is that like a next-gen game?
Immortality. That's a game.
No, because it's like delineated for just the Series X. I'm like, is that console or is that like... But it's coming to those, and that's going to be on August 30th. Then there is Immortals Phoenix Rising on August 30th, and there's also Tinykin.
That game looks cool. Tinykin.
Yeah. Immortals, by the way, was for cloud, console, and PC, and Tinykin's for PC and console.
So Tinykin, I've been hearing some good things about that.
I feel like I've been hearing that name go around, but I haven't seen or heard anything.
You've seen the thing. If I show you the trailer for it, you'll be like, I remember this one. But you play like this little like.
Oh my god! That's
like,
the Pikmin one, right?
Yeah, dude, that game is getting
my god, yeah.
really good feedback from what I've been seeing.
Ooh, I'm stoked.
So I'm really stoked.
Isn't that out now?
August 30th.
It's in 2 days.
2 days. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm down. I want to see what this Immortality is also. Because I'm like, if that's like a next-gen kind of deal, and that's for like Series X.
I want to say it's one of those...
like it's one of those walking simulators.
What was the studio's name? But they made like a story game. Here, let me see. Hold on.
Nice. Immortality.
Wow. It's like you can't die. The people that made Her Story.
Oh, yeah,
It's that new one now.
I remember now.
So,
yeah, it's cool.
I'm thinking we take another little break, and then we'll come back with your topics. Because, yeah, reasons. Listen to this tune.
And we're back.
Yes, we are.
And boy, do we have topics.
We got topics for you. There's that rooster again. You hear it? That's fresh.
Freaking Kakarikis. So, Neon White. It's this game that came out on June 16th of 2022. It's developed by Angel Matrix and Ben Esposito. And the publisher was Annapurna Interactive. And...
Annapurna.
Annapurna. And basically, it's one of those, like... what was the kind of game, like, where it's, like, the... Oh, my God, they're, like, the story... Oh, my God. Help me. It's like the...
Help me.
Help me.
Gets 2 minutes.
No, this was like... It's like those, like the...
Time trials.
Huh?
Time trial?
No, because there's that,
Just
but
regular trial? It's a
there's
second
also
trial.
those... dude, this is really freaking frustrating. It's like that bird boyfriend game kind of deal where it's like a story and you're like getting to know the characters and all that. I forget the name of that kind of game.
I know what you're talking about. The one with the pigeons.
Yeah, but it's like there's a name for that kind of game.
It's a simulator of sort, like a dating sim.
Yeah, it's not so much even just that. It's those games where it's like you're going through the whole. It's like an anime story essentially, and you're like going through that, and there is gameplay to support it, but like you're mainly just doing like dialogue and talking with people and stuff. So this is kind of like that, but they like flip it where it's mainly gameplay, and there's like a part of that, and basically. Gameplay wise, you're doing these like time trials, and you're basically like you're going through this little obstacle course essentially, and there's like lore to it where it's like, oh, you're like bouncing on these little things, and they're like, oh, those are demons, because the whole point of the game is that like you died, and you know they brought you back to life, like in the afterlife, but you're trying to like kill demons because you're getting close to Judgment Day, and so you're like killing demons. Because the demons start pouring in at that time or something like that. And so they basically like bring you in as a neon. They call you neons. And you're basically like a demon hunter trying to like kill these demons. And that's like the story behind it, but like gameplay wise it's like a time trial. So you're going through it and you're doing these like it's I'm trying to think of a game that has movement kind of like it, because it's honestly it feels almost like a Quake. With the floatiness and the like, just the way things kind of flow in terms of movement, but what you're doing isn't really like arena shooting, you know? It's like it's more like a parkour kind of like time trial thing where you're getting through the levels and stuff, but like there's weapons too, and it's basically like they're not like modeled. You're basically holding like a little card. And that card will shoot like a submachine gun or like a shotgun or whatever, and like that's your weapon. You use that to kill certain demons and stuff, and certain demons drop certain cards. But the thing about the cards is mainly their discard, because when you right click you'll discard it and it does like a special thing, right? And like so one of them will give you like an extra jump. There's one of them that'll like launch you in whatever direction you're looking at. There's one of them that'll launch you only horizontally. Then there's one that's like it'll grapple,
right?
And basically it becomes this whole thing where as you're going through the obstacle courses and stuff, you start kind of seeing through where you're like, okay, like I need to kill that demon to like get that card, then I can discard to this one, and it's pretty like self-explanatorily like laid out in terms of like, you know, solving that kind of aspect.
It's pretty intuitive.
Yeah, it's pretty intuitive, but it's really more about like, at least for me, because I'm like I try to, like, when I'm doing games that are, like, time trials, I try to just get, like, the top, like, I'll keep doing one over and over again until I get, like, the top score.
So you get, like, the 3 stars set, like, kind of
yeah, because, like, I don't know, that's just
or
how
the
I do
S
it.
rank.
Yeah, and, like, when you do that, then the game does have a lot of challenge and stuff, but, like, other than that, it just feels so good, dude. Honestly, it's very satisfying, and there's certain little areas that are laid out a certain way where it's, like, just... the flow of motion that you're taking to like get to that point B, right? That end point is like it's really clever in a lot of little areas where it's like I'm trying to think of like an example. It's kind of like when you're watching almost like stunt drivers, like it just kind of puts a smile on your face. You're like, this is like, wow, dude, like that was smooth.
Wow.
Like, yeah, you're like that was smooth, dude. Like that was clever and that was smooth. Or like Like, I think even, like, Top Gun Maverick, like, I know we just saw it, like, yesterday, but, like, it's even like that, like, when he does that part where, like, he breaks his jet and it, like, pulls back behind and then he drops the flares to, like, protect his dude, you're like, it puts a smile on your face. You're like, dude, that was clever, dude.
That's how I feel like when I capitalize on a dumb teammate in Valorant.
Yeah, it's like clever usage of, like, what you had, right?
Word.
And it's like the way they lay out a lot of the levels, I'm like, there's a lot of that where it's just like, wow, like, and plus the story is pretty tight. Only thing I didn't like was, like, the ending. There's, like, because they're building it up to this whole, like, essentially one of the points is basically just, like, forgiveness, like, forgive yourself. That's one of the themes, I guess, like, you know, forgive yourself and this and that, forgive others and all that stuff. Like, don't continue the cycle of, like, revenge kind of deal, right?
Yeah, that's good.
It's a good message. And
good.
Like, but the thing I didn't like was the ending. They gave you, like, 2 choices where you can basically, like, show that you're forgiving or not. And for me, I'm like, I feel like story-wise, it's such a small nitpick, dude. I'm like, I just feel story-wise,
it undercuts.
Yeah, I'm like, I think a lot of stories that, like, when they're well written and then they give you, like, choice, they give the player choice rather than telling the player what the story is, it ends up losing, like impact.
Yeah.
And so they kind of built up this whole thing, and I got to the end, and I'm literally like, oh, cool, like, this is, and it's, like, very anime, the way the story plays out and stuff, and it's like, wow, this is really cool how, like,
we got
you know, how we, like, that, but it's also, it's, like, really cool just the character development, where I'm like, okay, like, now you have this image in your head of, like, these characters and, like, them in their afterlife, you know what I mean? But that can, like, not matter if you choose. And I'm like, if you, because, like, and that was the thing too, like, I couldn't show forgiveness because I didn't, like, dialogue enough, I guess. You know, or no, I didn't unlock enough memories because that's the whole thing, like, your character's, like, kind of amnesiac. And it's because, like, he doesn't remember his time on Earth.
So you have to, like, remember that in order to forgive, basically.
Yeah, like, you have to remember.
If you don't remember what someone did against you, then
I guess.
Kind of idea.
And, like, I get what they're getting at, but I'm like, okay,
interesting.
Like, there's a part of that where I'm like, that whole thing was tied to even what I was telling you, where it's like, that's part of the whole relationship mechanic that I was telling you about.
Right.
And I'm like, that relationship mechanic, I'm like,
doesn't
I think it's cool. I think it's nice they had it there, but I'm like, for how little it is there, I'm like, you could have just removed that and, like, your story would have been better.
Yeah,
the game would have felt more focused.
It's okay, you know. I mean, it just shows their prioritization, like, knowing that that's what it's tied to is, like, the memories. Yeah. Because what it sounds like to me is it literally is just incentivizing people to play to get another ending. It's not.
I think it's also because the game is really short. And again, like, for me, I took as long as I did because I was trying to get the highest score. But
how long did you spend?
I think in total, maybe like 6 or 7 hours.
Really?
I believe I need to check it again.
Man,
but
I gotta go back to that then.
It's really short, dude.
I played the first. Let's see. I played the first, like, 3 trials.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is awesome.
Yeah, the game's got flow, dude.
But I'm like, it was like we were cooking dinner, and I'm like, all right, well, I gotta go finish dinner. And then I never went back.
But yeah, like, it's really tight, but there's just, like, certain things like that. But it's also, like, it's not a big deal, because, like, I understand the situation where it's, like, they're pretty, from what I know, they're a pretty small dev.
Yeah, and it shows their intent, too. I mean,
the
like,
game, what you get is, like,
really focused. Yeah.
It's really good, dude. And for me, I'm like, I hope they get a sequel if they get to do that. I hope, even if it's not, like, a sequel, they're able to do, like, you know, like, another game like this.
An expansion or something.
Or an expansion or whatever. And for me, I'm like, if you guys want... Because I feel like there's 2 routes you could go with this. Like, you could either, like, do your sequel and be like, okay, fuck that relationship stuff. Let's tell, like, a really good story. Or you could go, okay, let's tell a really good story and we want this relationship thing, but, like, now let's focus on, like, fleshing out that relationship thing.
Right.
Because one thing I really, really didn't like about it, and really, it made it seem much less of a part of the game than I think they intended. I don't know what they intended, but, like, it just felt like so small of a part. I'm like, dude, for how small the game is already, like, you could have removed that. And focused on other things, put a few more levels, or, like, flesh out this a little more, you know what I mean? Like, and that's how it felt, but, like, one of the things I feel like really undercut that part of the game too was the way you enhance your relationship, because it's like, okay, like, you add a relationship thing, you got to give the player things to do to increase that relationship, right?
Right.
So it's like, are you going to allow them to, like, choose who you're taking on a mission? or are you gonna like devote who goes on the mission to the story to make it more curated? You know what I mean?
Right.
Or are you gonna like give them like a little hub world where they can click through this and do little mini games with people, and then they recreate? Okay, and so what they ended up doing was they decided to do this gift mechanic where basically there's gifts that you can find in the level, and you gotta like, it's like really out of the way, and you gotta like kind of like devote a particular run to just getting that
to someone.
And you get it, and then you gotta like remember dialogue and remember who to give it to, and then you can give it to someone, and like.
I'm not particularly fond of those kind of mechanics.
But... So I don't mind it because the game's kind of like a time trial, so it ends up feeling almost like the bandages from like even like Super Meat Boy, where it's like, okay, I'm getting this to unlock the dark world, right? Like the underside, and it's like it would feel more like that, but this is where I think they fuck it up a bit. Is they make it where you like even the amount of time it takes for like the top run, you don't see any of that information, and you absolutely cannot even get the gift on your very first run. You have to do the game, you have to do the level, beat it, and then replay the level to be able to do that. And for me, I'm like, you should allow me to get it on the first one.
Yeah.
Because you can't even see it. Like it's not even spawned in. And so for me, I'm like, that's annoying, because I'm like, if I were able to see that on the first run, I would devote my time to getting that, and then I would devote my time to like finishing my run.
Right.
But like, because it's even that, like you can go grab it and then restart your run and you have it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you guys already have it that way. Like, you should have allowed me to get it on the first one, and I'd like actually progress this freaking characters' relationships a little more.
It's funny you mentioned bandages, because it almost seems like that mechanic was kind of a band-aid. Like they're trying to like, there's missing something and needs a little of this. Or they're like, we'll do this. Oh, but just don't let them see it the first time. Like it's really difficult if you have to get that and complete the level. Just let them grab it.
It seems like there's a lot of ideas they had, and honestly, they did. You know, once you throw it all in the same pot, like they did cook it pretty well, so to speak. But like, I don't know, that whole relationship thing and like the story being tied to the memories was like literally one of the only things that like, for me, I'm like, that's what takes it away from like being like a 10. Because other than that, like, it's a pretty perfect game.
Yeah.
I didn't have any gameplay problems. My game never really bugged out. I didn't have any bugs or anything. Like, everything worked smooth. Okay, I think the game is short and sweet. Oh my god, dude, the music is so...
I listen to the soundtrack. I haven't really played the game.
I listen to the soundtrack. I've been listening to the soundtrack like daily, dude.
Yeah.
Since like I started playing it. But yeah, it's...
That and Cult of the Lamb.
Yeah, that's another game too. There's been some really good soundtracks, but yeah,
right.
those are the comments.
Very nice.
But yeah, great game. I do recommend it.
Well, I've been playing a little game called RimWorld.
This game's freaking dope.
And it's developed by Ludion Studios and Tynan Sylvester and Double 11. Wow. It's published by Double 11 Ludion Studios too, and was released in 2013, November 4th. And it looks like it. You know, I spent like a good 30-40 minutes with it, and that was the first thing I noticed. And granted, I can get over that stuff really quick, but for me, I'm like, okay, I feel like I'm playing a Flash game.
It does feel like that.
Yeah. But to that point, intent, right? And the intent and the whole setup for this game is that you've got this AI that is feeding you a story and managing all of the variables, if you will, of said story. And really, it's just elements. So like you have this open, or this global map that you can pick with certain key landmarks on it, and then you can pick a spot to go and form your colony or your group, if you will. And you get three survivors, and you start your whole group there. And it teaches you all the setup. So the way that it plays out, for those of you who don't have a visual picture, it's
they're little bean characters.
They're these little bean-looking characters, 2D split images. It looks like a Flash image kind of character.
There's literally when it's facing you image, and then away, and then left and right.
Yeah. It's everything moves on an X and Y axis. It's a 2D.
Has a little bit of a Paper Mario-ish.
Yeah, it's honestly the more you spend with it, it quickly becomes very endearing. weirdly.
Yeah, you're just like, oh, nice.
But the beauty of the game is in all the details. So, like, for instance, you read a log in Cult of the Lamb of one of your followers, and it's fairly detailed. You know, I spoke with so and so, thinking about this. Why is the faith so low in the cold? Yada yada yada. In RimWorld, it is so verbose and so particular. The kind of things that they're doing, like you see them walk and go grab, like, for instance, let's say you're building your house zone. You know, you go and you like plot out a little spot. And you're like, all right, this is where we're gonna build. These are where the walls are gonna be, and then you command them to like go and do that. And the way you command is not the way that you normally would either. You're basically prioritizing their actions, and then you're like delineating what things need to get done, and whoever you program to go and get that kind of thing done,
Yeah, it's one
goes
of those
to
like,
go do that.
It's one of those like real time kind of games too, where it's like constantly like going. You can speed up the clock.
Yeah.
You can pause the clock.
And like think about what decision you're about to make.
And you end up pausing a lot because you're
Yes.
like okay, like stop, like everyone stop. Like,
Well, there is that, and then there's times too where I'm like, I should not be paused right now. Like, for instance, when they're sleeping, so I'm like, all right, now let me think about what I'm gonna do next.
I know, yeah.
And then I notice they're sleeping. I'm like,
they're not doing
they're
anything.
not doing
anyway.
anything.
Like,
Like,
I gotta wait for this.
why in the heck is this wall not getting built? Where are my? Oh, it's nighttime. They're sleeping. That makes sense.
I'm
Yeah,
paused.
I'm paused too. Interesting.
Yeah.
Anyway, I got through the tutorial. I started my main like spot, and then I just sent them off into a caravan, and
You sent him on a caravan already?
yeah. And that's where I'm at, bud. We'll see how that turns out.
We'll see how that goes, dude. I haven't sent them on anything, dude, because I'm like, I don't feel like I'm even equipped for. I'm barely dealing with the like one guy that comes and attacks my freaking place like every once in a while.
I was messing that guy up, dude.
Yeah, I messed him up a few times. So this is the thing, is, and even the reason why we're talking about this game when it came out in 2013 is because I'm kind of shocked I've never heard of this game. Okay, so there's this game Stacklands, brief history. There's this game Stacklands on Steam, and Giorgio told me about it, and so I downloaded it, and honestly, like, go search it. It's Stacklands. It's basically like, it's almost like a city management kind of deal, where you're like managing a little village or whatever, but you're only using cards.
It's so fun.
And like you could beat the game in 4 hours kind of deal, right? But it is so, it's just so much fun, and it's such a joy to play, and
it's so relaxing.
So needless to say, I've been kind of like really, I think it's because it's so short too, dude. It really stuck with me. I'm like, man, that was such a good time, dude. So like, because it was so short, dude, and like I've been kind of just like wanting a game like that again. So I'm like, you know what, maybe on Steam, if I just search it and check the like recommended under like the game's like page,
Yeah.
like maybe I'll find, because like sometimes that Steam like recommending could be like pretty accurate and like get you a game that's genuinely like it. Sometimes it's like, you know, there's not really a lot like it, so this is what we've brought you.
You're like, I don't play erotic anime sims.
Yeah, dude. But needless to say, it showed me RimWorld, and I clicked on it. And if you check it on Steam, dude, it has overwhelmingly positive reviews, and it has like over 100,000 reviews.
Yes.
So I was like, okay, I gotta check this out. And so I got it, started playing it, and yeah, it's basically what you said. It's the whole AI and stuff, but it also generates stats and like a whole bio for your entire character and your character, like, or your characters. And basically they'll have like traits, they'll have certain things they just cannot do, okay, and they'll have like back to their traits, they'll have all these traits, but some of the traits are like, you know, they'll be like cannibals, or they'll be like, you know, mute, or they'll be like really they overwork, or they're a night owl, or they're this and that. And all those things affect how they work and how they function and stuff. And then there's also their like skills. And so they have like all their different stuff, and you know, like for hunting, dealing with animals, and like being like a doctor. There's even like a stat for like being a patient. Like how good of a patient are they? You know, and like, yeah, you're basically doing like the management. You're changing their schedules. So like you'll pull up the work tab, and you can change the work that they will even do. So you can make like only one person be like a hunter, and like whenever you assign hunter tabs or tasks
You
to
always
like
post that person.
that person, like whoever's marked as a hunter, they'll be the only people that deal with that. And so dealing with the prioritization and all that, you're like managing this little colony. But then the AI comes in and the Fire Nation attacks. Okay, and man, like so the first, like in my tutorial world, I was as I don't know, for me, as I do with these kinds of games, I'm like, okay, like you're telling me I could do a lot of stuff. Like I want to like push the game in one direction and see how it reacts, because I'm like, how well is this like programmed and built, and like is it really going to be like this like unique story and stuff. And for me, I kind of went about it where I'm like, okay, this person, like I'm going to just make them eat like, and it's really fucked up, but I'm like, I'm going to make them eat like only humans, and I want to see what happens, because I'm like, are there stats, because it has stats for like their mental, like, you know, like sanity and their mental state, and like some people will get like, they'll get anxious like if it's like nighttime, or they'll like, you know, they'll get like, you know,
I didn't check that.
they'll get like psychosis and all this different shit, and like they'll get like manic or whatever, and it affects how they function. And like, needless to say, my first world, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna make this one chick like eat human because I want to see what happens. And literally, like, there's a log too for like everything they do. There's like a log that like logs what would happen, and it'll be like, oh, like they just played like, you know, horseshoes like to like relieve stress, and this other colonist, like one of your other characters, walked up, they talked about this and that, and blah 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 blah. Like you got shot in the leg like during this fight, and you know they held their leg, and blah, blah, and it's like pretty.
It's pretty detailed.
It's not incredibly detailed, but it is pretty detailed,
Yeah.
and it's like it's man, there's a lot of planes. Wow. Jeez, man, really going at it. So needless to say, I had her eating human for a little while, and like basically what ended up happening was she was getting like, she got like some parasite or something. So then there was moments where she would like in the middle of her work just stop working, because like she was dealing with like her like muscle, it was like a muscle parasite, so she was dealing with like that whole thing. And it'd give like a log like, oh, she dealt with like her jitters, blah blah blah, she couldn't move, so she rested for a bit. Like you'll see it's funny too, you'll see some of your guys like walk out and they'll just like kind of like tilt back a little bit, and if you click on them and check their state, it'll be like they're like cloud gazing or whatever. They're just looking at clouds. They're like literally just looking at clouds. It's really funny, dude. But like I had her eating human for a while, and essentially she got that parasite, so she had trouble working, but then she started getting like nightmares and all this different stuff, and she had like really troubled sleep, and so she ended up like not sleeping for a little while, for like a couple days. And after that,
And she went to sleep-induced or lack of sleep-induced psychosis.
yeah, and then she started psychotically wandering.
Oh gosh.
And so I couldn't make her do anything, and she was just walking around on the whole map and like just going around, like just doing whatever the hell, just walking her. She walked like so far, and I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to send anyone over to grab her and like pull her back. Like I didn't know if I could do that. Like, and that's the thing too. There's so many little, like the way it functions, like at times it can feel like, oh my god, are you serious? Like I can't just do this. But when you play through the game, you realize why they did it, because it makes these particular scenarios where you're like, why isn't anyone defending? You're like, oh fuck, I need to draft all of them so they can like be technically in the military and like do military work. And like you got to be careful, because if you leave them drafted for too long, they won't sleep. Okay, and they won't eat because they're like, I'm on my post. And they won't do anything, and they'll just like starve if you're like not paying attention. And so you gotta keep an eye, and that's where you end up pausing the game a lot. But that was basically my first one. You know, I got raided and it just kind of like went downhill. And yeah, needless to say, like just playing the game, there's been so many other situations where like, in another one, like I had this cannibal dude and he was mute. And I was like, okay, I'm going to make him like a bad dude where he's just like doing this thing. But then over time, like I was reading the logs, and they're like, he broke out of his shell. He started talking with people. And then like it would be like, man, like they were playing like horseshoes, and so and so was like, he was chilling out. He cracked a good joke, and everyone laughed. Like relieved some stress. He like this, and like I'm like, man, he's kind of cool though. So then it became this thing where I'm like, okay, I like this guy, so we're gonna satiate him. We're gonna make sure he has his food, okay. But we're gonna do it right, okay. I'm like, I was thinking like almost like Tokyo Ghoul. I'm like, we're only gonna get the dead bodies from like raiders. We're not going to kill any travelers, okay? And I was like treating it that way, but then I got raided by some people. So first, this is where I went down home. I sent a lady out to get a hunting, to get a hunt kill. She hunted, killed, and then she started eating. Then another animal came by and like attacked her. So then she was injured and needed rescue. Sent a dude over. He killed them. Then ate. Okay, because all my guys were starving. That's why she went hunting initially. They ate, brought her back. Then that guy got hurt by the animal because he had to go there and kill that animal that injured her. And then he rescued her and he was injured, so he put her in bed. Then he went in bed. And now I'm left with just the cannibal, and he's not really like particularly good at medical stuff. So their recovery was going to take a while. Okay, and then I got raided. And then they knocked out my cannibal dude, and then they picked him up and just started walking off the whole map. And I was like, no, like they're kidnapping him.
You're like, I liked him.
Like, no, like don't kidnap him. And then they like took him, and then they get off the menu, and it's like, okay, now you got a new mission. You can go rescue him at some point, but you're gonna need to find out where they're at. And it's like this whole thing, dude. And like,
dang, dude.
And so you understand the reason why they came and kidnapped him was because they had attacked before, because I could see it was the same faction. And I beat him up, knocked him out, and I was gonna make him a prisoner and like inculcate him and make him part of my crew. But you need to have a bed in a separate room. You need to have it set for prisoners. And I started building that, but then it got nighttime before they finished building it. And essentially, from there, the guy in the middle of the night, once all my people went to sleep, that fucker literally got up, and I saw him just like hobbling over. He like passed out halfway from like blood loss, and then like got up again, like regained consciousness, got up, and then continued walking off the map, and then disappeared.
Oh my goodness.
So they came and attacked me again because of all of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, needless to say, the game is, if you've never heard of it, like, bear with some of the little idiosyncrasies with like the mechanics. Cause I'm
gonna go back. The stories are so cool.
It curates a lot of these trippy moments, dude, and like it's just great. I need to go back to it too. I have my people there. They're waiting.
And you will be waiting after this because we're at the end of our podcast. You're gonna have to wait a whole week.
It's going to be a whole week.
It's going to be a whole week.
I think this has been a very Swir cast.
I would agree. We hope you have a wonderful week, wonderful day. Don't forget, we're streaming on twitch.tv/Swir Media on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 11 a.m. to now 3 p.m. Pacific time. And now an exciting third stream on Mondays with the whole new additions to the cast. You can catch us on Mondays from 8 p.m. to 12 a.m., so midnight. We hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll see you next week.
Have a good one.
Take it easy.
Take it easy.
Hey.
No,
Please. 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 Please.